you. Hi everyone, welcome to Tea Time with Mel. For our very first episode today, we are celebrating mums, and I'm joined by my friend Ellen, who is a child psychologist. She is an expert and a wonderful help at our foundation. She runs the Fit Kidz Foundation. So she's joining me today, and we are going to celebrate mums and motherhood, the joy in it and also some of the challenges. And we are then going to chat about resilience, which is really important, especially at this crazy time that we are living in right now. So to begin, Ellen has a baby who attends our Fit Kidz Centre, and she's about to have another one. So Maverick has just turned 1, and then she's expecting her next baby in a matter of weeks. So we are lucky we got to film today. Ellen, what surprised you about motherhood, having worked with children for so long?
Thank you for that introduction, Mel. Yeah, look, I think probably the biggest surprise for me about motherhood was that the guilt is real. The mum guilt, that is actually a real thing.
Yeah.
So for years, I would talk to parents about their experiences, but to be able to know what the mum guilt actually feels like as a parent myself, it's something that I didn't expect to be so significant, from simple things like, why are they crying? Is it because I fed them too much? Is it because I didn't feed them enough? Is it because I dressed them too much? Is it because I gave them too many cuddles? To more bigger guilt, such as, should I send them to care?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I send them to care? Have I loved them enough? Do I give them enough attention?
And as the mum of 3, 2 now teenagers, it never leaves you. It's like as soon as you gave birth, you just gave birth to this guilt. You're guilty if you're working, you're guilty if you're not working. It really is something that just comes with motherhood, and it's one of the hardest parts, I think. And I remember people talking about it, and I remember working, with children for so many years before I became a mum, and so many people said to me, "You'll do it so easy because you're used to classrooms full of children, centres full of babies. It'll be so easy to be at home with one," and it wasn't. It was just hard. It was just, and that guilt is a huge part of it. Yeah. And there's so much of that around, especially now, with people choosing whether to send children back to care in the middle of this pandemic, and that's really a hard emotion to manage as a mum. What's something you wish someone had told you?
Be kind to yourself. I think as mums, we have such high expectations of ourselves because we want the best for our children. Yeah. So I think we need to be kind to ourselves. It's okay to say no.
Yes.
It's okay to cry for no reason. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to leave the house in chaos, although I struggle with that being a Virgo myself. But I think be kind. And particularly, like you said, during this time when we've got additional pressures of mums, we're trying to be a mum, we're trying to be a teacher, we're trying to keep the house in order, we've got everyone at home. I think the pressures are even higher, and we've got to remember that we can't be everything and everyone all the time.
Yeah, it really is. It's one thing that I really struggled with too. It was just, I felt like I should do it so easily, so I really struggled to ask anyone for help, because I really should, what's wrong with me? I really should know how to do this. And I really struggled to ask for help. And then I think you throw in now social media and these picture perfect photos that are up of this perfect child, this perfect family, and or you hear the stories of the perfect partner that does everything right and is supportive and helpful, and that doesn't help you either with that emotion. So I think I also wish I didn't stick to, I think, being trained in teaching and educating. I expected that I needed to follow the books, I needed to follow the rules, even though I understood as a teacher that every child was different. I felt like, when I had pressure for when friends would say, they should give up a bottle at this time, they should be sleeping this amount of time, they should be doing this, they should be doing that, why isn't my child doing that? I think they do things in their own time, and it usually works itself out, So I think I wanted to, wished I'd chilled out a little bit and just and enjoyed more of those moments without worrying so much about getting it wrong or not doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, look, I think we're in a time where social media is so prevalent and in our faces, we naturally just get caught up in that comparison.
Yes.
And you're always, like you said, you're looking at the perfect mum with the perfect photo, and you're wondering, well, why aren't I that?
Yes.
But in actual fact, that might not necessarily be reality. So taking that judgment away from yourself.
And that picture could be just 2 seconds of perfection in a crazy day.
Yes.
So, yeah, the joys of it. We're going to chat a bit further now about resilience in children, and why that's important, and especially now, but always. And it's something that we work on really hard when it comes to our social skills lessons at Fit Kidz, I guess. And I think it's a skill that we really want children to understand, and the importance of it as we move forward and as they grow and as they face the big world and as they head into school. So what is resilience in children, or why do you think it's really important?
I suppose resilience is one of those words that we hear all the time.
Bit of a buzzword.
It is, yeah. And look, essentially, I suppose it's a child's ability to cope with adverse events, or their ability to bounce back when something stressful happens. Whether that be something in their everyday life, like not being able to open up the bottle that they really want, and being able to cope with that challenge and stress, to something more significant. For example, moving house or moving school, or having to cope with the loss of someone.
Yeah, it's something I've noticed in the 20 plus years that I've been teaching, that some of our children are struggling with more. I'm seeing more of it in my years of teaching, and that concerns me, and that worries me. And I think it's something that, you know, sometimes as parents we want our children to, you know, be reading and writing and understanding all those academic type skills, and we forget that some of these emotional skills are essential for well-being, and the mental health is really important. We're seeing more and more of concerns in that area in young children, and so trying to implement strategies and build on resilience now, so it just becomes you know, part of their makeup as they grow, is really important. So what are some of the things that you can suggest families can do at home to help build resilience?
And I think you touched on something that's really important. You know, why is building resilience important? I think absolutely that you need to build it while they're young. When children, their brains are developing so rapidly, we can teach these concepts. So the younger we can teach it, the better chance we give, and for these children to have this toolkit or this platform, so that when they are faced with stressful events, whether it be now, or whether that be as an adolescent or an adult, they've already got that platform on that toolkit to then deal and cope with the stress, and then minimize the chances of developing mental health, like you were saying. Right. So I think it's so important that we teach it, and we teach it young.
Because we can't prevent those things from happening. We can't. No one could have predicted the pandemic we're in at the moment, but what we can do is give our children strategies and strength as to how they will manage and cope with those things.
Yeah, and certainly from what we can do as parents, I suppose there's a few things, or I'd like to think of it as 4 key things that if we as parents could think about these things and try and think about how we embed them into our everyday living, into our natural routines. I think that's going to help us build those skills and that platform for our kiddies. And you know, the first is about building on positive, strong relationships with people. Relationships are so important. So thinking about how we help our children build relationships with other children, with their families, with educators, and strengthen those relationships, but also about our relationships, because as parents we need to be resilient as well. So we need to have strong, supportive relationships around us. So relationships is one area, and the second is about building independence and autonomy in a child. We want to give them that sense of autonomy by encouraging them to be independent. So it might be about giving them little opportunities to build on that, like go and get the mail from the mailbox, or hand over the money to the checkout lady.
And sometimes I think as parents we miss those opportunities because we're so busy. We're always rushing. So I know I can put your shoes on so quickly, or I know I can do that faster. And so I think stopping and taking a moment to this is can be challenging for mum who's got to get out the door or dad who's rushing off out of the house. It's hard, but we've got to make a conscious effort to encourage children to do those sort of help around the house.
Absolutely. So they get that sense of, oh, I can actually do this.
Yes.
You know, I'm actually an independent, contributing person to society.
Yes.
And then thirdly, it's about feelings and talking about feelings and emotions and what we do with those emotions. Little people aren't so great about talking about feelings, so I suppose for us helping them to articulate that by labeling emotions for them. I can see you're feeling really sad right now. And then for us to model as well our own emotions and how we can cope with them. So talking in every day, you know, whether it be around the dinner table or the breakfast bench, talking about how you're feeling.
And even asking, you know, sometimes when, you know, my children come out from school and I ask them about school, how was your day? And you get nothing. Yeah, fine. What did you do? Nothing. You know, and so trying to bring emotion into those conversations. What made you feel happy today? You know, and those sort of things. And they will get talking more, and then start talking about those emotions are important. What was the happiest part of your day? What did you do to help someone today? I think that's important.
One thing I heard someone say a few years ago was around the dinner table, it's nice to do the 3 lights. The highlight of the day, the low light of the day, so something that made you really happy, something that might have made you feel sad or upset or angry, and then the bright light, something you learned. And then sharing that as a family.
We tend to do, whenever we go anywhere or do something, we talk about the high and low. What do we think about you know, even if we're out for dinner or something, talking about the best part of it and what was something maybe that we didn't enjoy. I think that's important to, and instilling that when they're younger. Believe me, when they're teenage boys and you can't get a lot out of them, my boys are used to doing that sort of stuff, so it's a little bit easier to get them chatting to mum.
Yeah, I think, you know, if we can model that in those younger years and continue to talk about our emotions and how we cope with different situations that made us feel in different ways, the better chances we have of our children talking themselves and learning how to, when they feel a certain way, what to do with that emotion and how to cope with that in a healthy way.
And the last one?
The last one is around.
You were doing so well. There's a last one. That's number 4. You were doing so well.
I know, you just kept me going.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course, the best one.
The best for last.
Being able to present a child with challenges. Learning how to cope with personal challenge. So you could kind of call this like healthy risks. So, you know, as parents, we tend to jump in really quick when we see a situation that presents with different risks. It might be a child climbing on a monkey bars, or around children that they've never met before, and we sort of end up being that helicopter parent and jumping in all the time, and we're not letting that child make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So I think we need to think about creating opportunities for our kiddies to take healthy risks and learn from them. It's kind of that participation certificate, you know, that people talk about, that, you know, everyone needs to, you know, be rewarded for everything. And I think it's important to reward effort, just, you know, being involved and trying things. But sometimes I think that goes to the extreme where we stop children from doing what they really want to do, and that's when they learn, and that's when they explore, and that's when they're imaginative. It's why I love early childhood, you know, it's just the imagination is there, and I think it's important that we don't squash that, and we allow them to, you know, they're healthy risks. You know, I think it's really valuable, and it's a great way to build resilience. So that's it from us today. As you can probably tell, we don't do this often, or these professional chats, but Ellen and I chat all the time, and I love the wealth of knowledge she has, so I'm excited to share it with you. So have a wonderful Mother's Day, be kind to yourself, see ya.